Welcome to Driving the Lane with Randy Kraayenbrink and Chuck Rowe, a podcast presented by News Talk 1540 KXEL. Now, Driving the Lane.
Welcome to Driving the Lane. Randy Kraayenbrink, Chuck Rowe, the show where we talk mostly about one thing and one thing only, and that is
Panther basketball.
Now, it's important that we remind you that even though we are the official UNI basketball show for News Talk 1540 KXEL, our comments may not reflect the feelings of our friends at UNI. However, Randy is a former player, and I bought my boy some new UNI hoodies for Christmas, so this show is as official as it's going to get. So as always, what's that?
Have they gotten their new hoodies yet?
No.
Well, then they better not watch the show. They know they're getting UNI hoodies.
Ooh. They do like to listen to the show sometimes.
They
do like to listen to the show sometimes. We did not get the boys UNI hoodies this Christmas, so this show is as official as it's going to get. So, as always, we have a great show for everyone this week. Joining us today, Tytan Anderson, and then we have our Midwest Studies Group nonprofit of the week, Friends of the Family, and the Financial Architects quote of the week. Let's get started. Randy, excited to have with us today the human highlight film of the team. Excuse us, Dominique Wilkins, of course, but drum roll, please. Was that the drum roll?
That was a drum roll.
Wow. Okay.
I'm gonna work on that. There's got to be maybe afterwards. Tytan can give us a little update and say, "Hey, you push this button and it just makes a drum roll." Like, you know. Maybe.
We got to do a better job with top-notch guests like this. But anyways, Tytan Anderson joining us. Thanks for joining us today.
Yeah, no problem.
Now, COVID really confused everyone because you get an extra year of playing. So guys like you and Cole Henry are like fifth-year sophomores by this point, you know. And so has that been strange for you at all?
Yeah, it's been a little weird. I mean, just knowing that I still have 2 years after this is it's a great feeling and it's a great opportunity, but it's a little weird.
You're gonna have your doctorate by the time it's all over.
That's a great question. So do you ever run out of classes when you go to sign up for next semester? You're like, well, can I repeat a class or how do I do that?
I think right now I'm just adding a minor, and that's in coaching. So I'm kind of just doing as much school as possible.
Okay. And since you're doing a minor in coaching, has there been a coach that you just have been drawn to? Not that you like one coach more than the other. I know you love them all, but is there a certain coach that you've been drawn to that you just enjoy their style and you kind of like what they preach?
I mean, I really like Tut's style just because he is hands-on. He goes and he practices with us sometimes and he does all this and that. So, I mean, it's just a matter of, I really like his style.
Well, last year you were like the spark plug that the team needed, whereas this year you're more of a featured player. How has that transition gone for you, and what was that conversation like during the offseason?
It's been a big transition. I mean, obviously, I went from playing X amount of minutes to now playing basically the whole game. So, I mean, it's different, but it's a great opportunity. Yeah, you kind of just, I mean, it was no surprise. I mean, we had some guys leaving and he said that you're going to have to work and you're going to have to really step up for us. And I think you're going to be a big part. And I agreed. I didn't have any questions, anything that I didn't already know.
And then over the summer, was there something they specifically said, hey, if you're going to take over this role, Tytan, you need to become better at this? And you worked hard at whatever that was.
I've really worked hard on just gaining muscle mass, getting in the weight room, doing a lot of that. And also just, I mean, really everything. I mean, I worked on my shooting. I worked on ball handling. I worked on everything and I worked hard at it. So just proud of how we've started.
Well, something that Randy has told us before and other players have told us is that it's humbling when you come in as a freshman because you just come off your senior year where you excelled. And here you are coming in as a freshman, you're scrawny, right? You don't have that muscle mass yet. People don't quite understand what it's like transitioning from a first-year player to like a second, third, fourth-year player. What are workouts like on a daily basis? Not in the basketball gym, but I mean in the workout room. Like, what are you doing to help build that mass?
I mean, we have a great coach in Brandon Ronan. He's been doing a great job with us. And during that off season, I mean, he just pushes us. He has us do things that are consistent and that we keep progressively getting better. And that really worked for a lot of us guys. So, I mean, we're doing different variations of squat, different benches. I mean, just mixing it all in there, getting jumps in there. So it's not just all heavy lifting, stuff like that, bodybuilding type stuff, but it's perfect for basketball.
Well, obviously you're built like a tank now. It's very noticeable, the size difference and the hard work that you're putting in. Also, some of the hard work that's being noticed is that, and maybe it's just because you get more minutes, but you seem to be playing with a lot more flair, a lot of hustle. Your energy is amazing. You probably have lead the league in like knocked over chairs on the sidelines from jumping over them. I mean, was that something that you intentionally committed to this offseason, just playing with more hustle?
No, I feel like that's just how I play. That's what I've always been about is, if there's a loose ball, it's mine. If there's a rebound that goes long, I'm going to go get it. And if there's just any type of play that I think I can make, I'm going to be balls to the walls for it. So.
Yeah, quick question about, so let's go back to your high school days. Tell us where you kind of came from, and then how that recruiting process went as you decided to become a Panther.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So I went to North Scott, Eldridge, and that's about 2 hours away from here. So it's not too far. And during AAU season, really, is when we were traveling around, and the coaches, they were at every game. They were persistent. They were just everything I've ever wanted and dreamed of. So it was just that process of them always being there and the family aspect of it. And it was just too good of an opportunity to pass up.
What other schools were you considering back then?
There was most of the MVC schools, most of those, and then also a couple on the outside here and there. Some like South Dakota State, other ones like that, and then Creighton a little bit. So I mean, different leagues, just a couple of them.
So you, Nate, and Bowen come in together, obviously a few years ago. When you first got to meet each other, what sort of goals did you make for your particular class back then? Like phrases like, by the time that we graduate, we want to do what?
Well, we want to win a championship, and that's what we've always wanted. That's in our nature. I mean, me and Bo, we've been playing together since we were in 7th or 8th grade. So it's a big part of why you see some chemistry out there already and some 2-man games, stuff like that. And just add Nate in there, that's going to be a big part of our success later on in the season as well.
So ever since 7th grade, did you guys dream about playing together in college then?
I think it was a little bit later once we both figured out and we both got a feel for the recruiting process and stuff like that. But yeah, we've always wanted to win a championship, and we're both competitors, and no doubt.
This past offseason, Panther fans were super excited that Fife was coming back. And then he's had to be held back a little bit. When you got recruited back then, did you ever think you were going to be the person doing the opening tip and sometimes guarding centers?
No chance. I've not expected that or thought I would be that person.
So what was the conversation like when you were told you were going to be that person, and has Big Fife given you any advice along the way?
No, there really hasn't even been a conversation. Like from the first scrimmage, it was just, you go ahead. Like, you're the one, you probably jumped the highest. You got this, like you probably have a better chance of getting it. So we just rode with it.
Okay. Well, you do jump pretty darn high. And, like I said, kind of jokingly saying that you're the human highlight film, probably the best dunker on the team until Randy, this is what I would say. Michael Duax is really, I didn't know the guy had such hops. And so he might have to fight you for the best dunker on the team. So the question for you is, who is the best dunker on the team?
I got to go with Cole Henry. He has the most bounce. I mean, just the different variations of dunks that he does, and just the energy behind him. Yeah, I think he's one of the best dunkers, if not Michael Duax, definitely.
Okay, so the three of you at practice decide to have a slam dunk competition. What's that dunk that you're going to pull out to try to win it all?
Probably a windmill, probably, or a 360.
I don't think there's been a player that plays with as much energy and hustle since Wes Washburn has been here, quite honestly. What do you think, Tytan, about a comment like that?
I mean, it's a good feeling. I mean, he's a great player, and he's gone on to do very many great things. So I mean, it feels good to be compared to somebody like that.
Yeah, I think the Panther fan base enjoys someone to take Titan's quote balls to the walls. I think they enjoy watching that type of athlete out there playing, giving 110%. Obviously, every time you're on the floor doing whatever you can to help the team win, and that's really cool. So.
Last year, we lost a lot of senior leadership, and then we had some transfers that left us. Big Fife again comes back, can't play for right now. What has impressed you most about this freshman and sophomore group that has had to step up?
Just that they have stepped up and they have been ready for to rise to the occasion, and they have done so. So I mean, just being able to come in off of not a lot of experience and just play right away, it's tough to do. I mean, you don't see it much, but they've done a great job.
There were some close losses you had that were probably due to things like, just some free throws, turnovers, some what you quote unquote call silly things, right? And so those tough losses that you had, you personally had 4 turnovers, I believe, but then against the Tigers, you had 0. So how did you take personal accountability in some of the things the coach was saying, and how did you inspire the rest of the team to do the same in that big win?
Some of those mistakes, those turnovers, those are solely, I mean, they're going to happen, but then there's other ones that we have control of. And we've talked a lot about that, and just, we've really tried to nip that in the bud. And, I feel as though that we're going to be taking the care of the ball a lot more.
And I think a lot of folks, one of the things that you're really impressive with is your rebounding. But a lot of people were surprised that you're such a great rebounder. But what people don't realize is that during high school, you were a great rebounder as well. So it really isn't a surprise to you. What is it that makes you such a great rebounder?
I think it's just about caring more. I mean, I care more about doing what's best for the team than what's best for me, and what looks the best, or what's going to show up in the box on the box score and look the best. So, I mean, it's just a matter of doing it. And I've been doing it my whole life. I mean, I've been hustling after rebounds, getting on the ground for rebounds, offensive rebounding. It's just something that comes natural now because I've worked so hard at it in the past.
During your career here at UNI, you've had a number of challenges, probably like, there's always the occasional bumps and bruises that might keep you off the court, or not getting a lot of playing time your first year, or COVID, et cetera. What has been your biggest hurdle during your time with the Panthers, do you think?
I would say my freshman year when I had surgery on my knee, and that held me out it was supposed to hold me out the whole year, but I worked hard and went through physical therapy, and I got back after three months. So that was probably the biggest hurdle. It gave me trouble the rest of that year, and then the off season going into the next. So it was just going through that and working through that was tough.
You had mentioned you're getting a coaching minor. What's your major in?
My major's in business management.
Okay.
So then with the coaching minor, what do you, and I know we have a couple years to go till you're done with us, but what are you hoping to have with your basketball career when you're done?
I'm not really decided about that yet, but I mean, coaching is really appealing because I'm a natural born leader. I like to lead. I like to be a part of a team. So, I mean, just being a part of a team is something I want to do the rest of my life. I mean, I enjoy it a lot.
Well, you have former All-State player, PJ Hogan. Did you know he was a former All-State player?
Yeah, I've done research on PJ.
Okay, so former All-State player, PJ Hogan, NBA Summer League player, Seth Tuttle, former North Dakota Player of the Year, Ben Jacobson. Okay, 3-on-3 against your class of Nate, Bowen, and yourself. Who wins and how?
Oof. I mean, that's tough. Are you talking about now with?
Oh, you bet. Right now.
Yeah, we're winning. We're winning.
Yeah.
We're winning. Back then,
No. If it was hot yoga, I think PJ would win.
Oh yeah.
But probably on the court, you probably got it.
Oh yeah. They're moving a little bit slower nowadays.
Yes.
Well, this is what I'll tell you though about PJ is that he might be older, but I don't think his defensive intensity has lowered at all throughout the years. Something that we noticed during the games is that PJ's energy is very high when it comes to defense, right? Walk us through what it's like going through defensive drills and working on defense with PJ during a practice.
It's just constant yelling, constant coaching, and it really gets us fired up. And I mean, he's just a great all-around coach. I mean, he knows how to get us going, and he also he cares so much, and it shows.
And another guy on the team is going to be Seth Tuttle. So your first year, I don't think Seth was in charge of the offense entirely by himself.
Right.
How have you seen the offense change? What have you enjoyed about having Seth as the offensive coach?
One thing he really talks about is just pace and just getting up and down the floor and making them work from side to side. I mean, that's been a big focus point for us.
Well, and that's been the great thing for us, Randy, is that not only do we have an awesome head coach, but we have two great assistant coaches and obviously an entire great coaching staff. Right. But Tuttle and PJ are two of the best, though, to have around. I think PJ earned like a top 50 assistant coach for mid-majors last year, was it? Or is it season before? Either way, both great guys. But before we let you go, do you have any final words for Panther fans?
Just stick with us. I mean, there's going to be a lot of growing pains, but in the end, we're looking to make a big splash, and we're going to every game just stick with us, and we're going to get it done.
Tytan, thanks for joining us, and we look forward to watching you play the rest of the season, and obviously for the next couple of years. So keep up the hard work and keep playing hard. Thank you.
This week's Midwest Studies Group Nonprofit of the Week is Friends of the Family. Joining us today is Ben Brustkern, Executive Director. Thanks for joining, Ben.
Hey, how you doing?
We are doing great. You know why? Because we just finished talking with Tytan Anderson. Now, you have great seats over at the UNI game. You watch every single one for the most part for the past, how many years have you had season tickets?
Oh, I was just talking to my wife about this. I think it's probably 7-8 years at least.
Okay.
At least.
So obviously a pretty good long tenure. You've had season tickets.
Yep.
So what is it that you enjoy about Tytan Anderson being a Panther?
Oh, Tytan's kind of got that dog in him. He just works so hard to, he just outworks everyone. And the most amazing thing is I don't think that guy's lost a tip yet, at least at home games. And he's usually like the other guy's like 5 inches taller than him almost every time.
We were just talking to him about this, and he mentioned that there was no conversation to him about like, hey, you're going to be the new tip-off guy or anything when a Fife went down. They just said, okay, you're doing the tip-offs.
Well, not to pick on Fife, but Tytan probably should have been the tip-off guy anyway if Fife was even in there.
Okay. Hopefully Steve and Austin are not listening to this week's particular show, but
we'll give them both a chance to rebuke that. We'll give them a chance.
Yeah.
So Ben, if you weren't a basketball scout, and let's say you were the executive director for a group like Friends of the Family, maybe you could share with us, what does Friends of the Family exactly do?
Yeah. So our vision is everyone has a home. And that really, comes back to the core or our niche, which is creating housing solutions for people, whether you're fleeing domestic violence, sexual assault, human trafficking, or you're experiencing homelessness. You're in a shelter, living on the street, in a place not meant for a human habitation. Our agency is there to help people move through that situation, help get them housed, provide them case management, get them to a point where they're self-sufficient so that they're no longer experiencing homelessness. And hopefully that is, that one time in their life ends up being that only time for them.
Yeah. And maybe you can help remind us, how many years have you been at Friends of the Family for?
Well, rumor has it 2001. So
okay, a couple of years. So out of those couple of years that you've been there, what's one of your favorite programs that you started there and why?
Yeah. Oh boy. Now you got me. I actually right now our Blackhawk County housing project that we did in partnership with Otto Schweitz has been one of the most enjoyable programs. Being able to kind of create from the get-go, and just, be able to present on, this is what we want to do, and this is how we think we're going to have most impact on the community. Really allowing that to be in our hands was really cool from a funder side, right? But then launching that program and seeing the impact that we're having here in Black Hawk County, just says that we're heading down the right direction. We've been able to add more housing opportunities. We've been able to add street outreach so that we're out, we're meeting with people if they are living on the street, and we're talking with them. We're able to kind of bring community members together to talk about what issues people that are experiencing homelessness have. I tell you what, that has been so much fun over the last year and a half now, almost.
Wow, that's awesome. Ben, thanks for joining our show. But so 'tis the season of giving, right? So it's a not-for-profit, and like Chuck was saying, and so maybe give us an opportunity as listeners to make a donation possible. How do we do that, and what's the best way to do that for our friends and family?
Yeah, I think everyone finds web kind of just online works well. So visiting our website at fofia.org. There's a donate now button on that page that allows people to go in and make a cash donation, or you can see kind of what is our biggest needs, when it comes to getting supplies to people who we are working with. Our top 10 needs are always on our website, so people are able to do it that way also.
Awesome.
Now, before we let you go, Ben, and give you the final goodbye, we know how the Panthers are doing right now. We know their record. We're going to get to Arch Madness fairly soon. It's going to get here before you know it, quite honestly. How do you think the Panthers are going to finish Arch Madness?
Oh boy. My guess is they're going to be a mid seed, and they're going to win their first game, win second game, and then lose in the semis.
So you don't know how this works, Ben. This is a you and I basketball show. You're supposed to say they're going to win it all, but that's fine. We'll send this to Coach Jake, and
this is hard hitting analysis. Man, you try to.
Hey, but then if we took it one step further and said, so Ben, how are we going to do in that 2020, 2023, 2024 season? Then you would take us to the championship.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's real high expectations with so many freshmen and sophomore playing the majority of minutes.
Yes.
No, yeah, laugh, Chuck, laugh. Right. I mean, there's a natural progression to everything, right? Maybe I'm a little bit downer. I don't know. I mean, this team is so close to kind of breaking through and, really kind of clicking and winning some games. But you got to learn to win at such a young age, that so many of those guys are. And they really are set up for good runs over the next, 2 to 3 years.
Totally.
So here's a little media trick for you next time, because, after 10 seasons, we're men of the media. We know how this works. Is next time you say, we think that we're going to make it to the semifinals or the finals, and then we'll see how it goes from there. And then everyone leaves on a positive note. It's like, yeah, we could, but you never use the word lose. Come on.
Like, would you say that your game or Chuck's golf game is better?
Yeah.
You think he makes it to the semis?
It depends. Are we talking like a 5 and under golf tournament?
So that this was the most entertaining, interview that we've had with a nonprofit, probably in our history now, Randy.
You're definitely in the top 25.
Thank you.
Definitely.
But also, thanks for joining us today and letting us know what Friends of the Family does. Obviously, you do great work in the community. So thank you for all you do and for joining us today. Now is the part of the show that everyone has been waiting for, the Financial Architect's quote of the week.
Quote of the week, Chuck, here it is. A good mentor hopes you will move on. A great mentor knows you will move on. What do you think of
Great
that?
quote. Great
Mhm.
quote. You know, Randy, something that comes to mind for that is what we just talked about today with, PJ Hogan, Seth Tuttle,
Correct.
Tytan Anderson. But you think of all these other people that want to be coaches or are coaches that have come through with Coach Jake that have moved on to do other things.
That's
right.
right. That's right. Exactly. And that's kind of, that's part of the quote is, these guys, Coach Jake, his staff, they're great mentors, obviously to each other, and then obviously to these players that he's sending through. And once again, every interview we've done with these players have just been outstanding. I mean, they're just outstanding young men, and now we can say women because we've done one with Emerson. Outstanding men and women, and it's just awesome. So you're right. They need
As
to
always.
move on and become a leader in their own way.
As always, a great quote. It's good for you, good for me, good for everybody. So it's time to say goodbye from Chuck and Randy. Catch you next time. Enter the closing music.